first review is for a game released in August 2010. Here's Mafia II for the PC.
Over the years I got a bit turned off from sandbox games, the what was then called GTA clones. My first run-in with one of these was with the original GTA. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of you watching never even knew about these humble beginnings. Well, this little bird's eye view style game was how Grand Theft Auto used to look. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about GTA. My point is I started playing sandbox games as early as this, but after GTA entered the big leagues with GTA 3 in 2001, we started to see a lot of these games popping up. True Crime, Godfather, etc.
They call it the City of Angels. Funny, in my 30 years here, I haven't seen a single one.
I really wasn't able to get too far with GTA 3 and never really bothered with the others. I'm just the kind of gamer who likes a clear goal.
The go anywhere, do anything genre can't seem to keep my attention, and that's why I haven't picked up games like Skyrim yet.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure these are all really great games, but to each his own, right?
Okay, we're good.
I'm glad. Next time, we can give you twice the amount.
But this is where Mafia II comes in. Here we have a game that could easily be considered a GTA clone, but this game is probably what's going to make me get back into and finally complete a GTA game. I'm sure GTA and those other open world type games like Skyrim all have a specific goal and ending, but with so many distractions, I mean like going to the bowling alley on a date and that kind of stuff, it's easy to lose focus.
We play ball and sit in the sun, but, well, you know how it is.
So the first good thing I noticed about Mafia 2 was the story. From the get-go it had me hooked. It really goes into detail and helps the player connect, not just with the protagonist Vito, but with all the other characters and even Empire Bay itself.
My name is Vito Scaletta. I was born in Sicily in 1925.
The story is this: you're Vito Scaletta, and alongside your friend Joe, you're both basically making a name for yourself on the streets of Empire Bay, working hard to move up the ranks in the Mafia. The story is told well with not only great cutscenes and voice talent, but actual events that take place in the game. From your life in the army fighting in World War II, to hitting the streets to make money, help your family, going to prison and more. Really deep and compelling story. Grabs you and keeps you. Not the kind of game you'll be playing and halfway and you forget what you were fighting for in the first place.
Never in my life had I seen anything as fantastic as Empire Bay.
The overall realistic feel of this game also helps with the immersion process. Most of this realism comes from the story, but you also experience this from people's interactions with you. Picking a lock, breaking a car window, or getting stopped by the police for speeding on the highway. Real nice.
Possible Grand Theft Auto. 10-4.
The characters in Mafia 2 are like no others I've experienced. Now, while I'm not the biggest fan of the whole Mafia Godfather genre or the era, I found that I actually cared about what was going on in the lives of these virtual people. I was interested in what would happen next. Who would be the next sellout, the next great assist? It all had me.
Oh, dearly call her nanny go to make it pretty baby or Sunday go.
Let's move on to the gameplay. I'll start with the strong points. Like I said earlier, I really get distracted by many of these open world sandbox games, but in Mafia 2 one of the several things that help you out is the inclusion of waypoints. You're able to set up a waypoint on your map so you'll never get lost. You'll be able to follow a clear line to your objectives. Then the gunfights, real easy to get into, like Uncharted and Gears of War. You have an effective cover system like we're used to. Aiming is a breeze and your guns are all pretty effective and work the way you'd expect them to. No problems here. The stealth stages. They had me worried for a second. I thought they might have been a low point like in some other games I've played like Rise to Honor and Hulk, where everything was going fine and then the stealth stages came up, bored the hell out of you and frustrated you with poor mechanics. But no, sneaking about in Mafia 2 and executing a stealth kill was a worthwhile addition that did not hinder the game's momentum.
Nice. Alright, let's just sneak through here.
Another point goes to the game's duration. I've read where people who love the game said this was the only low point in the game. And this is understandable. Mafia 2 is one of the best games I've ever played, so it's not the kind of game that'll leave you begging for the credits to roll. but I'm the kind of gamer who believes in letting go. Yeah, I'm always ready to move on to the next title. If you're the kind of gamer now who has a small collection of games and would like to get the absolute most out of every single title you own, then I get why you'd complain about its duration. But look at the bright side, there's always some good old DLC. The overall duration of the game was more than enough to get the story across. I wasn't left wanting more. The ending was a bit depressing, yeah, but still, there was really nothing more I needed to see. Here's some of the less than stellar things I noticed though. There were no game killers, you know, but I have to exercise some empathy in these reviews. Kinda look at it through the eyes of other people, you know, and of course, even though I love this game, it's not perfect.
You want to end up just like your buddy here? Come on, take a good look.
Now, the fact that it seems to have a very linear path. This is great for me, but not for all. The path isn't 100% linear and set in stone. You can do a bit more stuff, but it's not in your face like GTA titles.
Sounds good to me.
Where we headed?
Hunters. I got it all lined up.
So yes, for persons who love their side missions and so on, this isn't gonna be their favorite title. Then the difficulty level. I played it as usual on the hardest setting, but even then, the game wasn't that hard. It got a bit irritating closer to the end, but nothing that I couldn't get through with relative ease after dying a couple of times. The car physics, not so great. While driving on a regular journey is really no big deal, but get into a car chase and then you feel the pinch. I always bring this up, but the checkpoints. This was one of my favorite things with Halo when I first played it. Checkpoints overload. Not here though. Now the checkpoints aren't like government cheese, but I just hate starting over. So when I mess up, I'd like to be put back a little bit closer. You know, maybe I'm just a lazy gamer. A few more small peeves. For a city like Empire Bay, that's so seriously infested with crime, there sure are a lot of cops around. It seems like every corner there's a cop car parked or pulling up. A criminal can't seem to break the law in peace around here.
Vehicle theft in progress. In pursuit of suspect.
Then the melee. Not the worst based on the type of game this is, but far from the best. After going to prison, you kinda get a better understanding of how it works though.
Peppy here's got a big fight coming up. Against O'Neill. He needs a sparring partner. And from what I saw of you out there in the yard, you're just the man for the job. You're gonna help us out, kid. In return, you'll be under my protection. And who knows, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two along the way.
Okay, now as usual, I save the worst for last, and it's not that bad either. But the camera wasn't too great. It got a bit annoying at times. And as for the gunfights, the only problem I have with this would be the lack of blind fire. Now this might have been an oversight on my part. If it was, feel free to shoot me an email telling me how it's done. Because at one point in this game I thought I couldn't even do a manual reload, but that was just due to my own negligence. Like I said in earlier episodes, I don't read the instructions, but I'm pretty sure there was no blind fire. If there was, then it's still a problem. A thing like that should be effortless to execute. The guys fighting alongside you were able to blind fire, so you should too.
Vito, kick the door in!
And here's the worst thing about Mafia 2, and it's totally subjective. If you own a really great gaming rig or graphics card, then this will not apply to you, but Mafia 2 for the PC seems to be a bit more power hungry than it should be. I suffered some serious frame rate issues with it. Now, I know my graphics card isn't the latest, but I've been able to play games like Homefront and Modern Warfare 3 on my rig with very little to no lag. But not in Mafia 2. I've done some research and apparently this isn't an isolated problem either. Others have experienced this. I'm really trying to rack up on my PC library, but maybe for this problem alone I should have bought this for one of the consoles. But I'm really getting into PC gaming now, and Steam is a great service, probably better than Xbox Live and PSN, or SCN, or whatever Sony wants to call it.
Vittorio Antonio Scaletta, for your crimes against the people of this city and of this great country, this court hereby sentences you to 10 years in a federal penitentiary.
So with all these high points and just a few low ones, the lab gives Mafia 2 an 8 out of 10.
You know, fellas, my mom was right. There is a God!